What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the FF Ballbusters podcast. Thank you for joining us. My name is Eric. That's my co-host Will, and today we are going to be going into the second installment of our buy-sell week. Here, we're talking sells. Things are gonna be spicy. You might not like it because we're talking 4 players that you won't want to sell, but that you probably should. So I'm excited to get into this one. But before we do, Will, do you have anything to say to the people?
Absolutely. Just want to thank each and every one of you for your support. Thank you for supporting the channel. But if this is your first time watching or you've been a long-time viewer and you haven't hit that subscribe button, 85% of you have not, make sure you do that. And if you just needed this reminder, there it is right there. But with that being said, let's get into it.
Absolutely. So, Will, I'm going to let you kick this one off. I know it's going to be spicy. We talked about it beforehand. Who is going to be your first sell on this list?
Well, we're looking at keep trade cut here, and as you've noticed, I haven't scrolled down at all. It's because my first sell of the video is Patrick Mahomes at the QB1.
Whew.
It's a little spicy, but let's get into it because this is by no means me talking shit about Patrick Mahomes at all. He's a great quarterback, future Hall of Famer already, in the GOAT conversation already. He's a great quarterback. Now let's talk about him from a fantasy perspective. When it comes to Patrick Mahomes right now, he is being valued at the QB1. But when it comes down to facts, he hasn't been the QB1 in fantasy since about 2020 or 2019, I believe. Even taking a look at a points per game basis, just looking at the last 6 seasons, last year he finished at 10th in points per game. The year prior, he was 2nd. The year prior to that, 5th. The year prior to that, 2nd. And then 6th. So he isn't really giving you back that QB1 value at all times. And honestly, with the way that the team has been shaped and the way that things have been going for the team, I don't really feel like he's going to be called upon to really give out those QB1 numbers again. When it comes to the Kansas City Chiefs defense, they've gotten drastically better as the years go on. They've gotten younger as well, so they're going to be good for a long time. So when it comes to that, he's just not going to have to throw 50 touchdowns every year. He's not going to have to throw 41 touchdowns every year. It's not something he's going to be called on to do. So when it comes to value for him, this is probably the highest his value is going to be, and it's because of just name value. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, it's the highest his value is going to be. He's the QB1. It's the highest the value really even gets. So when it comes to that, and you've got players who are giving out better numbers who are going cheaper than him, like Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts, CJ Stroud, up and coming kind of guy. So if you wanted to get younger with your team, you could. I just feel like Patrick Mahomes is one of those guys you can kind of sell for anybody that you want in Dynasty. You can kind of name your own price, and people would be willing to pay it because of the name. So when I pull up Dynasty, the fantasy trade calculator, trade database, kind of keeps track of some stuff and other trades that you could make for Patrick Mahomes or ones that have been made recent memory. I'm looking at one right now, Patrick Mahomes for Tyjae Spears, A.J. Brown, and Dak Prescott. If you're looking for kind of value like that for your team, like you can really reshape a team by trading out of Patrick Mahomes. You got Patrick Mahomes for Deshaun Watson and 2 2024 first-rounders. You got Patrick Mahomes for Jackson Smith and Jigba and 3 2024 first-round picks. It's just, if you're trying to rebuild a team or trying to even retool a team and you got a guy like Patrick Mahomes on it, I kind of feel like the sky is the limit when it comes to trades that you could make. But what do you think about this one, Eric? Because I know it is a little bit spicier.
It's definitely spicy. I think it's been such a roller coaster ride with Patrick Mahomes' value this season specifically, because for the past 5 years he's been basically untouchable at the top of the dynasty landscape, and for good enough reason. But back then, last year and even earlier this year, we were talking about this same idea where you should sell Patrick Mahomes because of, not that he can't run, but he doesn't bring that same rushing floor that you get from some other guys, and because of the defensive schematic switch in the NFL to more too high safeties, it takes away some of that explosiveness that we've seen from the Chiefs and from Patrick Mahomes. And so it limits his upside pretty tremendously. So we talked about some of that you should trade him earlier this season. And then I felt like it switched to where he was becoming more of a value. He dropped down to QB4, QB5 because of, the down season. And I was like, okay, now it's kind of a soft buy. And then he wins the Super Bowl. He's all the way back up to QB1 over Josh Allen, which is crazy. Like the difference in fantasy value between the two of them the past 3-4 years has been pretty significant. Like Josh Allen, since 2020, has been the QB4, QB1, QB2, and QB1. Mahomes has been 3, 5, 3, and 7. And there's been a difference of like 3 points per game over that span as well. So again, it's a significant difference. And so if you can swap even 1 for 1 for Josh Allen, or like you talked about, move down to a Hurts, to a Stroud, a Lamar, any of the guys like that with a significant plus on top, that's something I'd definitely be willing to explore.
Absolutely.
All right, this video is probably going to be a long one because we gotta bring the facts when we're talking about these big names. But I'm going to stay at the quarterback position for my sell here. Another spicy one. We're going to go quarterback 7, Justin Herbert. And he's the QB5 on Dynasty Trade Calculator, just another kind of similar metric there. So he is, depending on where you look, he's pretty highly valued in the rankings. I want to preface, same as Will did, I love Justin Herbert. He's incredibly talented, and he will continue to be a significant fantasy contributor going forward. But his new coaching staff does concern me. Jim Harbaugh is the new coach in LA, and Greg Roman is the new offensive coordinator. Jim Harbaugh has an extensive history of run-first offenses. In his 9 years at Michigan, the team eclipsed a 50-yard pass rate only one time, and his average pass rate over his tenure was at 44%. In his 4 years as the 49ers coach, when he was in the NFL, where Greg Roman was his offensive coordinator, the team ranked 31st, 31st, 32nd, and 29th in pass attempts during his tenure. And people will point to the fact that Herbert is probably the most talented quarterback that Harbaugh has ever had, so things are going to be different. And while I don't necessarily disagree with that, we have seen him coach Andrew Luck at Stanford. And even when he was with Andrew Luck, he still ran it more than he passed it by a fairly significant amount. Their pass rate was in the 40s during his tenure with Stanford. And again, none of this is to say that Herbert won't still be good. I think he's going to be fantastic from an NFL level, and still pretty decent, pretty high level from a fantasy perspective as well. I do think that he can be efficient on less volume, but less volume does mean a lower floor. And Herbert has shown us that floor and what that can look like in his past 2 seasons, putting up 16.4 and 17.9 points per game respectively, which is just not enough to really justify his current price as it is. So with this potential of less volume coming in, I think that we need to start looking at him a little bit differently. So I'm suggesting that you probably tier down from Justin Herbert, or the opposite end of the spectrum, you could try to move up. But some of the examples that I have here is like if you can get Anthony Richardson plus maybe an early second. I've actually, on the Fantasy Calc trade database, I saw him go for a first on a couple occasions, Anthony Richardson and a first, which I would absolutely do. Or even guys like Jordan Love, Kyler Murray with a more significant plus on top, a first and some change or something like that. Those are absolutely deals that I'd be looking into at this point.
Absolutely. I feel like you said, tearing down but retooling like that would be a lot better. It has been something that scared me too. Like immediately as soon as Jim Harbaugh gets into the building, they immediately start talking about, yeah, we're going to go get Saquon. Like it's like every good running back that's on the market, they're targeting him. And that's for a reason. Yep. We've seen what they do. So I like that sell a lot. I don't know how much people are going to like it, but it is smart. It's definitely a smart sell.
And I just pulled it up as you were talking on the fantasy trade calculator. Some examples here. Is today? I don't even know what the date is. That's today. So on February 20th, Justin Herbert went for Jalen Hurts straight up. Absolutely doing that. Went for Jalen Hurts and Terry McLaurin. Absolutely doing that. Justin Herbert and a first went for Lamar Jackson, a first and a second. No question. I'm doing that. Herbert and Baker Mayfield for Anthony Richardson, a first and a second. Like all of these type deals, I'm more than happy with doing. Would you agree?
Absolutely. I'd smash those in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
And
all right. Yeah, let's move on to your next sell on the list. Who do you got?
We are going over to the running backs, and we are going to be going to a guy I feel like we have talked about a lot on this channel. We're going to be talking about Mr. DeAndre Swift. So I feel like this is the highest his price is going to be. That's why I'm saying he's a sell. not necessarily a sell high because I don't know how valued he is here at the RB19, but at the same time, and as a part of a package, as a part of a deal, I'm sure you could add him to that, and it could be attractive for people. DeAndre Swift, in terms of running backs, is one of the bigger names that people would know. He's coming off the first 1,000-yard rushing season of his career. He was a Pro Bowl player, all of that. Actually held up for a season as well without getting injured, so bravo to him for that as well. So why I'm saying you should move away from him, he's only 24 years old, so that's pretty cool in itself. Well, 25 now. But in terms of him as a player, he's going to be an unrestricted free agent this year. So in terms of landing spot, we're not really sure where he's going to land at. That could either make him very much better or even worse. But at the same time, I don't believe this production is ever really going to happen again. I don't know if he's going to be a workhorse wherever it is he lands at again. I'm not super confident in where he's going to be going forward in terms of, this is like what I feel like was a lightning struck once this season. I don't think it's going to strike a second time. I think, it's weird because I love DeAndre Swift as a player, but at the same time, I don't think that he's going to be great for fantasy going forward, just in terms of where he's going to end up landing at. But I'm going to take a look at Trade Calculator and just to see any type of trades that he has been a part of recently. So just some examples they have up here for trades that were made, including DeAndre Swift, because like I said, he's probably going to have to be a piece of a trade, not just, something straight up one for one. But we got DeAndre Swift, Calvin Ridley, and a 2025 second for CeeDee Lamb. That's a trade I'm taking in a heartbeat. We got DeAndre Swift for Tony Pollard straight up. I don't really know how much I'm doing that one. It's kind of a lateral move to me, at least. How do you feel about that one, Eric? Kind of a lateral move as well?
Fairly lateral. I think based on what you've said with the contract situation, I might rather have Tony Pollard, but it's not like a huge jump or anything like that.
Yeah, I agree with that. DeAndre Swift and Cole Kmet for Devontae Adams. I think that's an immediate bump for your team if you need that at the wide receiver position. We've got DeAndre Swift, Kirk Cousins, a 2024 first, a 2024 second for Jalen Hurts. Don't know how much I like that one, to be honest with you, but I do still like that one. I do like that one a little bit, but I don't know. It's like he would have to be a piece of a trade, but you could definitely find some upgrades and people that are willing to make those trades because they do like the name of DeAndre Swift, and he was coming off his most productive year so far. But what do you think about this pick right here with DeAndre?
No, I agree with you. A couple more that I'm seeing: DeAndre Swift in a fourth for Nico Collins. Absolutely. DeAndre Swift in a second for Javonte in a second. I'm doing that. Yeah, I like a lot of these deals, and I like what you said. Even to your point, like even further, you talked about how this was kind of lightning in a bottle for him. It didn't even last the full season. Like it petered out by around week 11.
Yeah.
From week 12 on, he only scored over 10 half PPR fantasy points one time. And obviously, there were some offensive changes there in Philadelphia, but that's going to come with the territory. And even more so, like you said, like we don't know where he's going to end up. So who's to say he's going to go somewhere, be more efficient, have any more of the workload in that backfield. So I totally understand where you're coming from. He's also been steadily falling down the rankings. And again, I think that he could fall even further. But he was all the way up at like RB 15 as recently as like a month ago. So if you can find some people that are kind of lagging in terms of where they value him and still have him up in that tier, you could definitely get a good return for him at this point.
Absolutely. And who do we have next for ourselves?
Yeah, this will round us out. This will be the fourth player on the list, and one that I hate to say because we have a real love affair for him on this channel. We're going to the tight end position. You're not going to have to scroll very far because he is the tight end one. I'm talking Sam LaPorta. This has nothing to do with him, the player. We love him, the player. We have since he was coming out of Iowa. We loved him as a prospect. Will labeled him as his tight end one early in the pre-draft process. And yeah, I can't understate how much we really, really do like him and value what he can bring in fantasy. This has everything to do with where his value has gotten to on Keep Trade Cut. Will, do you have the tight end premium setting turned to on?
Let me make sure I do. It is now on, yes.
Okay, so as you can see, his value right now is at 7,260, And Trey McBride, who is my current tight end 2 in the Dynasty landscape, is all the way down at 5,880. And so the difference in value between those two is fairly significant. Like if you were to plug them into Keep Trade Cuts trade calculator, it'll tell you that you can add like an early second or even Will Levis, who we talked about as a buy in our last video this week, on top of Trey McBride and still have a fair trade with Sam LaPorta. I would do that in a heartbeat. Again, love LaPorta, but the difference between him and McBride just isn't that significant. So if you can add a, kind of a dart throw young quarterback or an early second on top of that, I'm doing that 10 times out of 10. And then also, if you pull up all of the position groups together, Sam LaPorta is currently, according to Keep Trade Cut, the 15th most valuable player in all of Dynasty, which like maybe you can make the argument for. But if you look at the guys underneath him, we're talking Bijan Robinson, Puka Nacua, Breece Hall, Jordan Love, Jahmyr Gibbs, early 2024 firsts, and I can keep going. Like all the way down to probably Kyler Murray, AJ Brown, even Christian McCaffrey, like all the way down to 25. I think I'd be okay with doing that straight up. Christian McCaffrey, maybe you can argue because of age, but like even in a tight end premium league, tight end still doesn't hold enough value for me to take, or for me to not take some of these quarterbacks like the Jordan Loves and the Kyler Murrays, and then these really high end running receivers ahead of him at this point. So I'm absolutely willing to do any of those straight up. And then even all the way down to like 31, 33 with like Jaden Daniels, Trey McBride, Malik Neighbors, I'd be down to tier down from Sam LaPorta and take a little bit of plus on top in order to make those deals happen as well. I can't emphasize enough how much we love Sam LaPorta. This is not Sam LaPorta hate. This isn't saying you must sell him. He's going to be fantastic on your fantasy teams even if you keep him. It's just that every single player in Dynasty has a price, and right now I think LaPorta's is a little overinflated.
Yeah, it's one of those situations where, like, is his price ever going to get this high again? With, we got guys like Brock Bowers coming into the league next year where he could very much take over that tight end 1 spot. Or we got guys like Kyle Pitts with new regimes who could very much take over that tight end 1 spot. Or, TJ Hawkinson, when he comes back from injury, could very well take back over that tight end 1 spot. So it's like, I see what you're saying, and it makes sense to me. I hate that it's my boy, but at the same time,
I know.
You got to be smart when it comes to this stuff, and you got to trust the data, and it's all right there. I don't know if his price is ever going to get this high again, and at the 15th overall, I didn't know he was valued as the 15th most valuable player in fantasy right now. That's kind of insane. That is insane.
Yeah, and even if he doesn't lose the tight end 1 title, I think that the value of the top end tight end players could come down just because we now have like a good group. What I'm saying is like the positional scarcity is what I'm getting at. The past 3, 4, 5 years, it's been Travis Kelce and Mark Andrews, and that's it. So of course their value is going to be inflated because if you didn't have one of those two, you're at a huge disadvantage at the position. But now that we have kind of a good young group of tight ends coming in and bolstering the position, scoring more fantasy points, I think it could drop the high tier guys down a little bit in value, including Sam LaPorta, just because. Not that they're replaceable, but they're closer to replaceable than they really have been in a long time.
No, I completely agree. But, with that being said, that's going to go ahead and wrap up our list of sells. We hope you guys weren't too upset with the people that we picked, but if you are and you disagree or you agree, let us know down in the comments below. This is going to be a really interesting one in terms of dialogue. Let's try to keep it a little civil down there. But, let us know what you think, and make sure you hit that subscribe button, that notification bell. That way you know when we drop all of our latest videos. The combine is coming up, so we should have some pretty good stuff soon, so I'm excited about that. And make sure you hit that like button. It's absolutely free, best way to get our stuff out there. And like I said before, let us know in the comments below what you think about our list. If you guys have any sells or that you're looking forward to or that you're trying to find, or if you just want to have a conversation about fantasy football, let us know in the comments down below. But with that being said, Eric, you got anything else for the people before we get out of here?
Yeah, just real quickly, like Will kind of alluded to, please do go check the links down in the description below. One, to our Discord if you're trying to join that community. People are talking in there every single day. If you're interested in joining a new Dynasty League, they're starting startups in there. If you're interested in a more, deep discussion about any of these type of trades, about player evaluations, anything you're looking for, you can find in our Discord, so go join up over there. And then also check out the links to our partners, whether that be a Choice Music Group if you're looking for some cool music, or Do Numbers if you're looking for some cool hoodies, t-shirts, apparel, anything like that. I'm wearing one right now. I know Will is wearing a t-shirt as well. So go get you some merch and apparel from Do Numbers. But with that, if you guys have stuck with us all the way until the end, as always, we love you. We'll catch you in the next video. Peace.
Peace.
We hop out who is down, tell them all, bitch, I'm young.